Hi, everyone. It's Melanie Warner here from Defining Moments. I am so excited about our show today because we have two very special guests who are launching their book. These are authors. We have Derek Drummond here and we have Loanne Meyer here. And I'm going to actually introduce Loanne in a second because I want to start with Derek first. So she's in the background waiting. Um, but I wanted to just take a second because our show is called Defining Moments and it really talks about these transformational moments in our lives. And so, Derek, I just want to welcome you to the show, first of all, and take a second to tell us a little bit about who you are and maybe share a defining moment in your own life with our audience.
Well, thank you, Melanie. It has been a blessing to work with you on building my book. I've been doing it for now 15 years because my mom got saved about a little more than 15 years ago. And she started asking me all kinds of questions about Jesus and his birth and his growing up. And it made me start to think that we take for granted the idea that Jesus was born. He got left behind at the synagogue when he was in his early teens, and then he started his ministry. And we don't really think about the in-between time, that he was human, that he was growing up as we grow up. And so I decided to try to write this book from the side of the three wise men who come to visit him. And so the first book that I'm writing, or that I've written, is about their growing up, their coming together, and their process of traveling to find baby Jesus. And this whole process is based on a timing that we sometimes lose, which is God's timing on things we do and how we try to rush things. I know that because I've taken 15 years to write it, and it's been in the last 8 months since I've been introduced to you, Melanie, that I've actually put the book together. And so doing that, I'm just super excited about the fact that I'm able to now share it with people, and it's not just sitting in my head anymore.
I love it. It's out of your heart, out of your head, and now it's going to be into the hands of the people who want to hear this amazing story. And what I heard in that too was that, your mother kind of started this journey with you, and it was a goal and a dream of yours to get this book written and for her and with her. And
It was. It
I remember
was, yeah.
I
Um,
remember when we first met, your sister Heidi actually brought you into introduced us and said, my brother really needs to get his book finished, and so that's kind of how we met. And then you've been having this, like you said, you've been kind of like thinking about it, contemplating it. We hear this a lot. People are pregnant with these book ideas for 15 years, and it's like such a labor of love, but like it can be this painful labor of love when you don't have clarity and you don't know the process and you don't know the steps. And then this is why like 80% of people out there say they want to write a book and only 1% actually do. And a lot of it is the confusion that comes along with it. So I love what you've done here because you've taken this fictional account of the Bible, biblical references, and we all think about it. I've thought about it. What would Jesus do, right? How did he respond to these things when he was a young kid? Was he, mischievous? Did he listen to his mom all the time? Like we don't really get those elements from the Bible of how he was like growing up. So this is kind of like this fictional account of how all of these things came together, right? And and then tell us a little bit. So this is book one, and you have two other ideas. Is that right? Two other books that you want to write in the series?
yes, the second book, which I've actually been working on these past couple of weeks, um, deal with come to the point where the wise men have found Jesus as a baby, and they recognize that they need to help more than just worship him. There's, as most people have read the Bible, they know that the king at that time, King Herod, was a very, very vicious man. And he actually has some plans to try to ruin Jesus. And they recognize this. And so the second book is about them getting him away from Herod and to safety. And again, I use a lot of biblical references because this is about the Bible, but we move past some of it to introduce characters and situations that we just sometimes don't think about.
So this is considered Christian fiction or historical fiction for those of you that are looking at different categories who are readers that love this kind of category. Tell us a little bit about Derek. So who is this book for? Like who when you wrote this book, who did you write it for?
I wrote it for the new Christian. And I picture, having worked at a Christian school for a long time, I pictured that a lot of the high school students and those going on into college are still building a reference point of what they're going to stand on, because Christianity isn't something that you do off your parents. It's something you have to commit to and something you take up. And so it's directed towards high school and college students to have something to grab a hold of and realize that God is with them. God has a plan for them. And it's early in their life that just let God work and they can be a success at anything they choose to do.
I love that. And this, by the way, this is I have it pulled up here. It's your ebook. It's so beautiful. I love this cover. We Three. That's really, really beautiful job. We Three, Their Beginning. So that's the name of the book, Derek Drummond. And right now we're doing a launch of this book. So you're going to be able to all get this as a very special price. The launch only will never be this price again. It's only 99 cents for the ebook. So we find a lot of churches that have book clubs love to download the link and get like a bunch of different copies for their groups, because you can buy it on Amazon as a 99 cents, and you can actually buy it for others. If you go into the sales page, you can buy it for others and actually pick however many quantities you want and then send them those redemption links. So somebody can open it up. If they're in the US, this is US only, they can open it up and they can actually read it in their Kindle, and you can get it as a gift for somebody, or you can buy a few copies if you're a Bible group leader, Bible study, or small group leader from a church. Also, if a church wants to get additional copies or bulk copies, Derek, how would they get in touch with you if somebody wants to get multiple copies for their organization or their church or their groups?
My email address is as simple as dmdrummond@yahoo.com. And I will take any emails that come in and get you the information you're requesting. I'm in this process of creating a web page that will do a lot more for the readers and find out a little bit more about me. And I'm just ready and excited that people can have this opportunity to delve into a side of God and how God works in a way that they don't realize.
I love this. I think it's so much fun. I have been waiting for your book a long time, and I can't wait to get this out there and help other people be able to discover you as a writer, how creative and endearing this is, and also just where your heart is as a man, as a Christian man, and what you want to help support new Christians and other people that are in that space in their life to just really find their foundation. And like you said, where are they going to plant that flag, and what are they going to stand on? And they're going to have a lot of questions as they're in that space. So I think you have a lot of beautiful intentions, and I know you have a good heart, and I know that you're going to do well with this book. And there's a lot of people that you're going to inspire. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And also, is there any advice that you would have for people that are thinking of writing a book? Maybe they're on the fence, trying to figure out how to get it out of them. Like what was the thing that really made a difference for you to finally say, this is it, I'm doing it now, no matter what?
The thing that happened to me was, how do I say this? I got out of my own way. I put a piece of paper and a pen in front of me, and I just let my mind relax and think about what I was trying to tell people. This is a story. I do have other thoughts of how people can walk their walk with Christ in self-help manners. So I've got some other books in my head also. But it's sort of just stop yourself from saying you can't do it, and just let yourself relax into it. That was my biggest thing, because I had gotten an email prior to Heidi contacting you about your company. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's crazy. And then Heidi called me and said she set up an appointment with you. And all I could say is it was a God thing. It was God timing that he said, this is what we're going to do. And you're not listening to me, so I'm going to have to get your sister to help me with this. And so it was just like, boom, get on it and get it done. He was ready for it to be written. So
I love it. And I think too, when people are in that space of that creative flow, it just literally almost is like a download, right? And then it becomes kind of effortless when I think clarity is the antidote to overwhelm. And what I find that most people, the reason they start a book and never finish is they lack clarity. So, if you're out there and you're watching this, this is a great way for you to support a new author and read this book. I'm sure he would love to get an honest review. So if you are out there supporting it during the launch, make sure you go back and leave a review for Derek and give him that feedback, knowing how much went into 15 years of research and getting this book out of him. I'm sure it feels great to be able to get it out. And then I can't wait to see, you have to send me your video when you receive your hard copy and you open it up. Like, that's always my favorite part. When people really see the cover for the first time, or they see this, like, it's like I always say, it's like when you have a baby and you have the sonogram picture and you put it up on your fridge for 9 months and you plan your whole life around this thing, and it's going to be this amazing new life that is you're bringing into the world. In a sense, that's what this book is, like a book baby that's going to, have so much impact and bring so much joy to so many people. So
yeah.
I'm excited for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to share with our audience today before we move on to our next author?
No, I am just blessed with the opportunity to work with you, and blessed that the book is now ready to go, and ideas are flooding into my head to bring more stuff out. So,
thank you so much, Derek. Thank you for being here today. Merry Christmas to you all. Like, this is a special time of year that we wanted to have this book out as well, to honor this book at Christmas time. I think is perfect. So thank you for being here, everyone. Thank you for being here on the launch and for supporting this book and Derek. And we hope that you love it and enjoy it as much as we do. And thank you again, Derek. Good luck, and keep pushing on. Keep us posted on how things are going.
Will do. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. So I'm going to jump into our next author. I'm going to have you unmute here. Let's see. Make sure you are there. Okay, unmute. And I want to welcome to our show, Loanne Mayer. Loanne, thank you so much for being here. I know you probably have a house full of people during the holidays here. I love your angel back there behind you.
Thank you. Yes, I do. In fact, I expect them within the hour. So the first group of them are arriving. So it's really going to be fun to share what I've done while I was waiting for them to drive down from Massachusetts. I'm glad to be here. I really am.
Well, thank you. And, you're no stranger to this process, Loanne. So Loanne, has written several books, and she's been part of our, involved in our group for quite a bit of time now. And so I want you to share a little bit about your background, and also, if you wouldn't mind sharing a defining moment in your life as well, Loanne.
Right. I think the defining moment aspect of it is really such a great match to the name of your company. Maybe the defining moment that I met you in California, which was so interesting. It was just an accident, we thought, but no, there are no accidents. And then the defining moments for my books, actually both of my books, came in Glastonbury, England. The one that I wrote previously, Celestial Conversations, Healing Relationships After Death, I was in Glastonbury when I was notified that our daughter, Cynthia, died, supposedly of suicide. And it was an extraordinary, as any parent would know who's lost a child, it's extraordinarily gut-wrenching, out-of-body experience. And so I left Glastonbury and went home, and we had to bury our daughter, and there were a lot of things that happened around her death that were challenging for us. So much so that when I was in grief counseling, my grief counselor suggested that I write a book about what was going on, which I ultimately did. It's been out 11 years now, and it seems to have helped an awful lot of people, and I'm really delighted. The next defining moment, oddly enough, comes also in Glastonbury, because I went back to Glastonbury on my way to do a grief retreat in England. And while I was there, I had this moment in a church that's across from the Benedictine Abbey. If anybody's ever been to Glastonbury, the Benedictine Abbey in Glastonbury was at one time the largest abbey in all of Europe. And it is extensive and huge and really worth discovering on your own. But I happened to walk into a chapel called St. Margaret's Chapel, which was right across the street from the chapel, the Abbey. And in that chapel, I had the experience of what I have to call a download of information about how much my soul had grown because of my grief. And that was something that had never been conveyed to me. I had been in grief counseling, I had been in Compassionate Friends, both of which were wonderful and exceptional to me. I know about all these other organizations, but no one had ever asked me to turn around and look at how my soul had grown during the process of grief. And so I spent a good deal of time meditating on that and how it might be worthwhile for people who are grieving, which is what this book is. The book is for people who are not in raw grief, but they're in and the stage of why did this happen and what can I do with this story? How can I make it purposeful? And in looking at the names of the different things that I was absolutely blown away by, the courage that we develop, the courage that seems to be grows as you go through the path of grief, and the compassion.
And I think about that, like there's no really way to get courage other than to go through something difficult. It's the gift
Exactly.
that you get, and like you said with grief, I mean, I lost my son too, and we
remember.
have been writing about, we both have bonded soul to soul because of those losses of Carson and Cindy being together where they are, and we're down here doing our thing, right? And the idea that, I love the fact that when you said that, it made me want to cry, like how much your soul has grown from your grief, right? And it can be a beautiful thing. It doesn't have to be this tragic thing, this burden that you carry forever. And I remember there was something when I was going through my own healing where I think it was Dr. Phil that said, the length of time you grieve someone does not represent the depth of love that you feel for them. And it just gave me permission to be okay and feel like we all want to find joy again and not feel guilty about living our lives and being happy when we're supposed to be in grief mode, right? And like, how do you know when to let go and when to move forward, or when it's okay to accept what's happened, even though it's unacceptable and you don't want to accept it, right? It's one of those things where it's just like, oh my gosh, how are we going to do this? So I think it's beautiful what you said. And I love that you have this book as a resource. So tell us a little bit about the book. I know you have a copy there, the name of the book, who it's for.
Yes. Called Treasures in Grief.
I love that.
And the people that did this cover were exceptional from your company. They really did a wonderful job. And it does speak exactly to what this is. There are treasures hidden within the pain. And the book that I'm really focused on is for people who are wondering, what in the world am I going to do? Because I don't know how to live beyond this, but I am ready to try to find out how to do that. And so part of my experience in writing this was to talk about how our compassion has grown. Our compassion that before I thought I was a compassionate woman, and I think I am, but after Cindy's death and through the grief, anything that happens to someone, I know they have a long road. It's not like I'm sorry that your daughter died or your husband died. I know it's a long road. And the faith that I found, for me personally, it doesn't always happen, but my faith was so rich after that. And it drove me to go to the Holy Land and to spend some time there and to learn about the people who had lost children, like David or Mary, and they had grown to become leaders in their world and helping other people go beyond that. And then the spiritual expansion of reaching through the veil, as I did in Celestial Conversation. And again, in this book, there are several references to past lives that just popped up that I wasn't looking for. I was just looking to go back to Glastonbury for closure. And then there's that whole discussion of forgiveness, which I had no idea the depth and breadth of forgiveness that I could find. That after being a Catholic, cradle Catholic for all these years, I thought I knew what that was about. It had no, it was a seed in the middle of a pomegranate compared to what I learned because of my grief. And I feel like people who are going through their grief, sometimes like myself, it took me 13 years to process this. I think I would have been helped much more if I knew to look for these gifts as I was going along the path of grief. Notice your courage, notice your compassion. Don't you see?
Yeah, and I think that we get so stuck in grief that we get so focused on what we've lost and we focus on someone's death that we forget to honor their life, right? We forget to honor how they lived. And when you can see the beauty and the gifts that come even from the darkest things, that ability to be able to see that is really where that transformation happens in grief. And so I love that you have this. I mean, I've been in that grief space for years as well. And as much as I hate giving the books to people because I know they're suffering, I love giving the books to people because I know they're suffering. I know that this is a gift of hope. It's the greatest gift you can give another human being. And when you look at, people say, what do I do when someone's grieving, especially the loss of a child? It's a different type of grief than losing, even though it's awful to lose a parent or a grandparent or somebody that's lived an amazing life, it's still really a different type of grief. So we don't know what to say. We don't know how to comfort people. And, we try to give flowers. We try to do nice things for them. So, sometimes like when I look at this gift of giving this resource is so powerful. And it's the same price as a gift card. I mean, it's the same price as like a greeting card. So, during this launch, we gave a special price for this book. It's under $10. So you have the ability to buy it as a gift for somebody. I buy several copies of grief books and I always keep them on hand because I want to be able to give somebody that's struggling some hope. Like instantly, like here's resources for what you're going through. You don't have to walk this journey alone. And I think that's the greatest gift that you can give anybody is that gift of hope.
And I've noticed that it seems to me the whole world is grieving right now. And so the more that we can help along the way with one person we meet or another person that we meet, or even people we don't meet, and just reach out to them to let them know they're not alone, that there are certain things that they grow from. And unconditional love is something that comes out of forgiveness. And I feel that's what's happened to me. I just have this great love for people who are going through this and to let them know they're not alone.
Oh.
And there are things they can learn from.
I think it's so beautiful. You have such a wonderful heart and so compassionate, and you're just this source of light and love. And like, I just love that about you. And you've always been like that. And just so kind and generous with your time and with your commitments to helping other parents and other people going through grief. Like, so is your book specifically, just so we're clear, is it for anybody that's going through any kind of grief? Would you recommend it for that process?
Yes, and I'm finding out from people that they're actually getting that message within. It was written with my experience of grief, of course, but it seems to be very easily transferable to people. Someone just yesterday talked about a divorce that was really very difficult and how she found there are suggestions in the book that she found were so helpful. So it's really a good translation of reading if you're able to read. And when you're very in raw grief, I would say you're probably not able to read. But as you get along,
there's different grief. Like, just to clarify real quick. So grief, obviously, we talk about grief of losing a person that we love and grieving that. But some people have to grieve a career. They grieve. When I went through a divorce, it literally felt like a death. I had to grieve the loss of my family and what I thought my family was going to be. And so there was a lot of grief in that. There's even grief in the stages of your children going from being, in your home every day and becoming an empty nester. There's a form of grief where you're mourning the loss of this childhood and this day-to-day interaction and relationship with your children. And I'm not trying to put a label or minimize grief in any way. I'm just saying that there's different things that grief mean to different people. And what I feel like in your book is not just the people that are losing the loss of a loved one, but any type of loss or grief in their life. It's going to give you this positive tool to show you that there's beauty. I call it brutal. It's brutal and it's beautiful all at once. It's these brutal moments that we learn and grow from in life, and where our hearts and our courage grow. And I just think it's so incredible what you've done, and it's such a beautiful thing, and just so
Thank
happy
you.
and grateful to share that with people. So thank you
Thank
for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So is there anything else that you want to share with people? Any other way they can follow you or connect with you if they want to read your other books as well?
Well, if anyone wants my email, it's lamayer at lamayer@msn.com, and I'll definitely get back to them. I also have a website, loanmayer.com. So if you wanted to reach out, you're more than welcome. I'm always happy to talk to someone who is looking for ways to grow through their grief.
I love
And for
that.
me, that's my joy to be able to say, have you thought of this?
Thank you for
And
your heart
help.
and for your time, because I know it's when somebody's going through it and they're in the thick of it, they just need to talk to somebody else who's been through
Yeah.
it. So
Mhm.
we're going to put those links in the chat as well, plus the links for the book. So you have a chance to get an ebook. You can get her print book. If you want the ebook, you can download it right away. If you're buying it online, you can usually get it shipped within a few days. This is a great opportunity to buy copies at a discount. You're getting it almost 50% off just for the launch on the print side too. So take advantage of that, you guys, and get copies not only for yourself, but also somebody else that you know is going through a tough time and they're struggling with that grief. This is a really beautiful tool that's going to help them with that transformation, to really be able to flip that switch back inside of them, to turn that light back on inside of them and not feel
Mhm.
guilty about being happy after a loss, like to find that joy in themselves again and be okay with that. I think that's really the message behind the whole book here.
And to
Um,
find purpose, also to find purpose, they feel they've lost their purpose sometimes. And to find purpose is part of that story too.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being here, Loanne. Is there anything else you want to add today to our viewers before we wrap up?
Well, I do want to add, sort of tag on to the fact that it took me, when I was writing the first book, it took me 5 years to get myself together. And now this time, even this book, even though I know you and I know what a great job you do, I was really looking for someone else to write the book. And it was my daughter, Karen, which you know very well, who has her own book through your defining moments, who said to me, Mom, just call Melanie and do it already. And it was really the best thing. I was like, why didn't I think of that myself? So yes, defining moments has been a treasure for me. All the people that I've worked with have been wonderful. You have chosen well, my dear. They are really helpful, and they don't make you feel like you're alone or lost. You always have someone to talk to.
Well, thank you so much. And, it's amazing too, because we have a long history together between Karen, your daughter. Karen's amazing. She wrote an incredible book. Then you wrote a book with us, contributed to two of our different books. They're around here somewhere.
Mhm.
I think this is one of them here that you
Yes,
contributed
I did.
first
Mhm.
together.
And
Uh,
the angels one I did also.
Angels book, that's right, Angels Among Us, that came out a year ago on 12/12.
Yeah,
So you
right.
contributed, we have, and you guys, if you're watching this, some of you feel like you have a book in you or a story in you, and maybe you just want to share a chapter in a book and you want to be a collaboration of like some of our other defining moments books. And would they have different subject matters? We usually release a couple every year. So reach out if you have questions about that. I'm happy to support you guys. We have all kinds of resources for writers, authors, speakers, anything that you want to do as a communicator, that you want to build these platforms and figure out how do you get this out of you and extract this beautiful knowledge that you have and get it out to the people that really need that, to be able to serve them. And we pride ourselves on being more of a personal development company and a professional development company. So if you are struggling with grief, or somebody that's going through a tough time, maybe a divorce, or maybe they're trying to grow in their business or their career, we have so many amazing resources and books and experts where you can come in and get the book. You can even work with people directly as a coach or a mentor if you want someone to walk you through some of these things. So there's a lot of different resources within our company beyond the book of really helping people get that transformation in their life. So we're just so grateful for all of y'all and for our authors being here as well. I'm going to bring Derek back into the mix here and unmute him and be able to say thank you guys so much for being here, both of you, and for all of you for watching and supporting these authors and their books. Please make sure you go back and leave a review because it means so much to them and all their hard work. And I want to thank you all again for being here. Any further questions you can put in the chat. Our authors will also be checking this and they can reply back to you. And if you have any additional questions or you want to write your own book or share a story with us, you can go to mydefiningmoments.com. All right. Thank you guys so much. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And God bless
God
you
bless.
here. All right. Take care, everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.